An equatorial country is a country that sits on the equator. The equator is an imaginary line that runs across our planet, halfway between the North and South Pole, at 0 degrees latitude. The closer to the equator you are, generally the hotter your country is. There are of course other factors which may influence climate, such as being high altitude or coastal, but it is fair to say that equatorial countries are generally hot, humid and wet. There are 13 countries in total that sit on the equator, spanning across South America, Africa, Asia and Oceania. There is actually a country with the word equatorial in it, Equatorial Guinea. However, it isn't actually an equatorial country, as it sits just north of this imaginary line. As these countries lie on the equator, this means that all 13 of these countries are also trans-hemispherical. I don't even know if that's a word, but I've just made it up in my head and it sounds good. Which means a country basically lies in both the northern and southern hemisphere. So now let's take a look at which of these 13 countries are the most populated, starting off with unlucky number 13. Kiribati, 121,000. Kiribati is the 179th most populated country in the world. Kiribati is a very remote country located in the Central Pacific and, amazingly, actually spanning across all 4 hemispheres. Kiribati isn't just the equatorial country with the lowest population, it is also the smallest by area, at just 811 kilometers squared, placing it just one place above the next country on our list, which is number 12, Sao Tome and Principe, 215,000. Sao Tome and Principe is the second least populated country in Africa and the 175th most populated country in the world. And as just mentioned, it is rather small, ranking as the 171st largest country in the world, placing them just above Kiribati. I honestly think that if you were to ask the general public to point on a map where Sao Tome and Principe is located, probably around 1% of people actually could, if that. It is a rather unknown country located off the western coast of Africa. Number 11. Maldives, 522,000. The Maldives is the second least populated country in Asia and the 172nd most populated country in the world. The Maldives is known for being literal heaven on earth. It is located around 750 kilometers from the Asian continent's mainland. As the Maldives is made up of many individual islands, the equator runs through the territory that it owns. Number 10. Gabon, 2.2 million. Gabon is the 44th most populated country in Africa and the 144th most populated in the world. Located in northwest Africa, Gabon is a rather small and unknown country. The equator runs pretty much exactly through its capital, Libreville. And just east of Gabon we have number 9, Republic of the Congo, 6 million people. The Congo is the 36th most populated country in Africa and the 111th most populated in the world. It sits nicely in between the Democratic Republic of Congo and our previous entry, Gabon. Number 8. Somalia, 17.6 million. Somalia is the 25th most populated country in Africa and the 68th most populated in the world. It is located in the east of Africa. It is the pointy out bit that you will see on a world map. The capital city, Mogadishu, which is also one of my most favourite city names in the world, is its most populated city at around 2.5 million. Number 7. Ecuador, 18 million. Ecuador is the 7th most populated country in South America and the 66th most populated in the world. The equator pretty much runs straight through Ecuador's capital, Quito, and the very famous Galapagos Islands. Number 6. Uganda, 43 million. Uganda is the 8th most populated country in Africa and the 34th most populated country in the world. Uganda is a relatively small country. It actually ranks as the 79th largest in the world at around 241,000 kilometers squared, just smaller than my home country, the United Kingdom. Number 5. Kenya, 47 million. Kenya is the 7th most populated country in Africa and the 30th most populated country in the world. The equator runs straight through the center of Kenya, meaning around half of the country is in the northern hemisphere and the other half in the south. Number 4. Colombia, 51 million. Colombia is the second most populated country in South America and the 28th most populated country in the world. The equator runs through the less populated south of the country, near the border with Brazil and Peru. Number 3. The Democratic Republic of Congo, 99 million. The 4th most populated country in Africa and the 16th most populated country in the world. The DR Congo is a country that many people would be surprised if you told them just how big and populated it is. It is a country of around 99 million people and spans a distance of around 2.3 million kilometers squared, making it the 11th largest country on Earth. Number 2. Brazil, 216 million. Brazil is the most populated country in Latin America and the 7th most populated in the world. At about 8.5 million kilometers squared, Brazil is by far the largest equatorial country on Earth by land size. In second place would be our previous entry, the DR Congo, which is roughly 3.6 times smaller. And finally, number 1, the most populated equatorial country on Earth. Can you guess which country it is? It is Indonesia, 276 million. Indonesia is the most populated equatorial country and the 4th most populated country on Earth. This island archipelago stretches across Asia and Oceania across the equator, for a north-south distance of around 1800 kilometers. As Indonesia is split up into so many islands, there are many different points at which it crosses the equator. Jakarta, its megacity capital, sits just south of the equator on the island of Java. So that is 2 countries from Asia, 3 countries from South America, 7 from Africa, and 1 from Oceania. A bit of a side note, but whilst I was researching this topic, I came across something super fascinating that I'm sure you will all love. There is a place called Null Island, a place on Earth that is 0 degrees latitude and 0 degrees longitude, where Prime Meridian and the equator meet. It is found in this exact location off the western coast of Africa. Now, unfortunately, there isn't actually an island there, which would be rather coincidental. Instead, however, there is a permanent weather buoy moored there, which measures things like wind speed, temperature, humidity, and solar radiation. But anyway, back to equatorial countries. There are many countries which just miss out on being equatorial, such as Rwanda, Tanzania, and Burundi in Central Africa, Peru, Venezuela, and Suriname in South America, Papua New Guinea, Malaysia, and Singapore across Asia and Oceania. What's kind of crazy about this list is that some of the countries are so large that their borders span further north or south of other countries which aren't actually equatorial. Let's take the DR Congo as an example. Its capital city, Kinshasa, is located in the southwest of the country and actually finds itself being further south than the entirety of Rwanda or Burundi, which aren't equatorial. For the country which is equatorial but stretches the furthest north, I think this goes to Somalia, whose northern tip is located ever so slightly higher than Colombia's. For the country which is equatorial but stretches further south, this would easily be Brazil, who stretches deep into the South American continent. So there we have it, some interesting facts about equatorial countries. Hopefully you enjoyed this video as much as we enjoyed making it for you. And as always, thank you very much for watching, and we will see you very soon in our next amazing video.